at the Coaches vs. Cancer event this year, which was the 11th annual. I can tell you that ESPN's Freddie Coleman once again knocked it out of the park, does a phenomenal job as the MC. Everybody loves Freddie Coleman coming back to the Capital Region and emceeing that event. It just wouldn't be the same without Freddie Coleman. And he joins our program every Friday as we talk NFL football with Freddie Coleman, and he joins us here on Big Board Sports. Good morning, Freddie.
Good morning, my friend Roger. Man, it was really good to see you on Wednesday. It had been a long time since we had that kind of contact, so thank you for the kind words as well, because I love coming back home.
And what a great event. And the unfortunate thing for me is I had to get back to work, so I heard your opening stuff. I stayed for Patsos and Will, and then a few other items that I was there for, and then I didn't get to Izzo. How was Tom Izzo?
Oh, my goodness. People don't realize what kind of sense of humor that he has, because you see the passion on the sidelines. You see the toughness and grittiness that his team personifies from his coaching. But he was just so genuine. There was nothing fake about him. But when he got up there to give his speech with that humility, was a lot of comedy, that he had a lot of people in stitches because they wanted him to sign the basketball. And he looked at the basketball, he tossed it aside. He said, I'm not signing the basketball with Gary Williams and Jimmy Patsos' name on it. I'm not doing that. And it just had everybody falling out. But anybody that talked to him that night, Roger, will tell you how self-effacing he was and how honored he was to be there. And it's great when you have a Hall of Fame person who's a better person than a coach, and he's a Hall of Fame coach. A lot of that was able to come through from Tom Izzo to everybody else. It made a great night and even a better night.
No doubt. And Izzo, the reviews are phenomenal. And then the family of Jacqueline and all of that. I mean, that whole story and the way they do things. Dennis Murphy, Albany grad. I mean, I was there for his speech and his daughter's speech, who had brain a tumor and cancer at age 9. She's now 22. I mean, that whole story just gets me every time I hear it.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I talked to Dennis after the event was over and everybody was still milling around. And first thing, when he gives you a hug, you feel that warmth and love from him. And that was the first time I had a chance to meet and talk with him. And he talked about that the organization, because of their funds, saved his daughter's lives. And I said, Dennis, you saved your daughter's life, you and your family, because of the love and compassion and support that they felt from you. So it's one thing to have American Cancer Society and Coaches versus Cancer do this, but just as important, if not more important, is that people who are in that situation know if you have a family love and a strength of support system behind them, you can do so many wondrous things to beat cancer to the best of your ability. So just hearing that from him, you understand exactly why his daughters were able to overcome, because they had their family behind them and they were not going to give up.
Well, it was a great night, and you made it a great night, as you always do, Freddie, and I know everyone in the Capital Region thanks you for that. All right, let's get to week 3 of the NFL, and of course, Giant fans thinking their team's going to get to 3-0. I do too. I think they're going to win this game, but there's going to be one matchup, Freddie, that I'm sure the hype in the pregame shows going in is going to be enormous on this. And then once the game starts, a lot of ISOs on Odell Beckham Jr. and Josh Norman. What do you think is going to happen with that matchup?
Well, I think Norman's going to be following him around a lot more than we've seen the first couple of weeks, when he didn't do that with Des Bryant until the second half, and he didn't do that with Antonio Brown until they had no choice in the first game of the season on Monday Night Football versus Pittsburgh. The problem with that is Sterling Shepard and Victor Cruz will wear out everybody else, and Eli Manning has shown so far that, Odell Beckham Jr. is our best player. We need to get him the football. But Sterling Shepard last week was tremendous with 8 catches, 117 yards. And Victor Cruz, that catch at the end towards the goal line, put the Giants in position to take the clock down, kick the game-winning field goal, and go to 2-0. And, Roger, I'm with you. The Giants' defense is playing really, really well so far this season. It's good to have that $200 million worth of money well spent for your defense to help them out. But everybody's going to focus on that matchup. But keep an eye on the other guys, because if you give so much attention to Odell Beckham Jr., Sterling Shepard and Victor Cruz will hurt you. And I'm with you. I think the Giants will be 3-0, and the Redskins will be 0-3 by the time this game is over.
Do you give the Buffalo Bills any chance? They've been a mess. There's controversy. There's drama. We saw it coming in the preseason with all the injuries. They're 0-2. Rex Ryan definitely on that hot seat, whether you agree or disagree, he is. And now you got Arizona, a team coming in with Carson Palmer, 3 TDs last week. The defense with 5 takeaways. Can Buffalo win this game?
If they're going to win this game, they better hope Carson Palmer throws 4 picks and he looks like the guy we saw in the NFC Championship game, because People talk about the Patriots winning that game on the road against Arizona, and it was a great win. But the Cardinals missed a field goal at the end of the game. If they hit that field goal, having a different conversation, not so much about the Patriots, but about the Arizona Cardinals. They're a complete team still. Offensively, they can run the football. David Johnson's been terrific, the second-year man out of Northern Iowa, providing a left fist to the right fist to offensive attack. We know they're going to be special on defense. If you're the Buffalo Bills, you have to hope the Arizona Cardinals play a C game and you play an A-plus game, and I'm not anticipating that happening on both ways. They may not play an A-plus game, Arizona, but it'll be more than enough. I think Buffalo will be 0-3 by the time this game is over, and the Cardinals will be 2-1.
Hey, Freddie, Zach By here hanging out with Roger in studio this morning. I got to ask you, what matchup are you more looking forward to this weekend? Denver at Cincinnati or Pittsburgh at Philly?
Boy, that's a great question, Zach. I'm going to say Denver at Cincinnati, and here's why. And it's close, and here's why. Because I think that's going to be as tough and rough of a game that Cincinnati had with Pittsburgh last week and that Denver had opening night with Carolina. It's going to feel like a division game where you have a great defense in Denver going up against Andy Dalton in that offense, who you know they're feeling pretty ornery about not beating Pittsburgh last week. And Cincinnati's defense, they're really good. And Trevor Siemian going on the road for his first start as an NFL quarterback into that environment. I can't wait to see how he handles that. I think Pittsburgh and Philadelphia will be a good matchup. I think the Steelers' offense is too much, and I think Carson Wentz dealing with that defense, we'll see him regress a little bit because the Steelers' defense is that good. But Cincinnati, they may have as much talent overall as anybody in the National Football League, and they know they can't afford to fall to 1-2, and the Pittsburgh's 3-0. Now you got a 2-game lead in that division. So I expect a tough game. I think Cincinnati wins this game because I think it'll be tough for Trevor Siemian to go in there and win. But I can't wait to see what will feel like an AFC North game or a Raiders-Broncos game with both of these two playing in Cincinnati on Sunday.
We love talking NFL football every Friday with ESPN's Freddie Coleman here on Big Board Sports. Who wins in Kansas City on Sunday, Freddie? Chiefs or Jets?
My heart says the Jets, but that talk about a tough environment to play in. But I'm going to go with the Jets in this one because defensively they've been really good this year, and I don't expect Ryan Fitzpatrick to play like he did against Buffalo. I've never seen Ryan Fitzpatrick that accurate, but the receivers of the Jets have been really good. Quincy Newman has stepped up to go with Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker. The running game with Matt Forte, he's shown the ability to help out the running game and the passing game. The offensive line has been just enough. I think because Kansas City at times can get in their own way, especially on offense, that Jets front seven will get after them a little bit. I can see the Jets going on the road, winning this one in Kansas City, and staying a game behind New England in the AFC East.
Freddie, Week 3 started last night, and I'm not surprised New England won the game, but by the margin in which they won and the way they dominated with a third-string rookie quarterback and winning 27-0, that part of it did surprise me. How about you?
Well, I'm not surprised by anything that Bill Belichick does, Roger, and here's why. And you know about this name, and the younger people out there may not know. Bum Phillips had a great quote about Don Shula, who Bill Belichick reminds me a lot of, that he can take his'n and beat Yun, and then take Yun and beat his'n. In English terms, that's his way of saying that he can take his team and beat your team, then take your team and beat his team. So I'm not surprised by what I saw last night because Bill Belichick has what I call a bunch of one-timers. You don't have to repeat the same thing over and over again. They draft those kind of guys. He told Jacoby Brissett, this is your assignment, carry it out. He said, yes, sir, and carried it out. He told the defense, this is your assignment, carry it out. They did that. He told the coaching staff, coach them this way, and this is going to work on a short week. And they went and played a Texans team that came in with all this bluster and all this bravado, and you could tell midway through the second quarter that they had given up, that they were not going to win that football game because that's what they do on a national stage. So I'm not surprised that I saw the Patriots beat them 27-0 because that's what Bill Belichick does. That's why he's on that Mount Rushmore of coaches with Lombardi, with Shula, with Bill Walsh. He has 226 wins. That's fourth most in NFL history. He won 11 games with Matt Castle at quarterback. Think about that. He won 11 games with Matt Castle at quarterback when Matt Castle can't play dead in the National Football League. So I don't have to hear about, well, Belichick's overrated. There's no way he's overrated. Last night didn't prove that he is a great coach. Everything else leading up to last night, including the result, had already cemented that in my mind. So I was not surprised by what I saw last night.
Freddie, in the last 24 hours or so, Tony Gonzalez came out and said Bill Belichick's the greatest football coach of all time. Michael Irvin came out and echoed that same sentiment. Do you agree?
I'm a big believer, and I wait till guys' careers are over because it's very easy to be prisoners of the moment, and I don't want to do that. But the case can definitely be made that you can look at what Bill Parcells did, or as I mentioned, Bill Walsh, or Vince Lombardi, Paul Brown, Tom Landry. You can't say that Bill Belichick is at the little kids' table at Thanksgiving. Oh, no, he's getting the piece of turkey as well with those other guys at the Thanksgiving table. So the case can't be made that if you want to put that on him, saying he's the greatest coach in the history of the National Football League, you can make that case. I'm not going to do it because I want to see when his career is finally over, whenever that happens, then I think we can, okay, where's Belichick? Where do we rank him? Right now it's pretty tough to do that because he still has miles to go before we can throw dirt on his NFL coaching career.
Hey, Freddie, one more for me is actually from a listener. Seattle loses last week to L.A. Kind of surprised me, to be honest with you. Now they're home against San Francisco. Does this Seahawk team wake up here and start to roll a little bit?
I don't know about waking up, but they better get out of that slumber a little bit, and here's why. That offensive line still can't protect Russell Wilson, and now he's a sprained ankle quarterback at Russell Wilson. And the big thing about Seattle, we know how they're going to play outstanding defense. They've done that the first 2 weeks. But they were so good at generating big plays because you had to worry about the running game, which meant that Marshawn Lynch was a big part of that. That's the one thing that they're missing. Even with the lack of offensive line production protecting Russell Wilson, they could always hang their hat on that running game to provide that toughness, to provide that energy, to provide that spirit. I want to see if Thomas Rawls can do that, but just because you put a guy there does not mean he can recapture or capture what Marshawn Lynch did. If they're not able to find that to help out their defense and Russell Wilson, they're going to continue to struggle offensively. They should beat San Francisco because San Francisco is not a good football team, but they're going to struggle. Division game, it's not going to be easy, but that pocket's still empty with this team and their passion and intensity, and the reason that pocket is empty is because Marshawn Lynch has not been replaced on this football team.
Freddie Coleman, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy a football-filled Sunday. I know that you will, and look forward to hearing from you this time next week.
I can't wait, Roger and Zach. You guys have a great weekend, and talk to you then.
Thank you, Freddie. Good job, Freddie Coleman. As always, host of the Freddie Coleman Show on ESPN Radio. That's